It'll be basic layups.
We'll find out. Welcome to Not Married to the Name. I am Duce. This is PBR, and down below it will be Mr. Stanky. Nice mug.
I didn't even realize it.
I have one that says, my parents gave it to me on Christmas. It says, "You're the best video game player possibly of all time."
This one says, "You're a great, great, great mom. Very special, very beautiful, very strong. Huge heart, really terrific. Believe me, everyone agrees." I'm not a mom.
Yeah, I figured that was your wife's. Okay. All right. Well, that was a good chuckle. So go ahead. Grant, Stanky, Grant, whatever. I've known him for a long time, but PBR is going to kind of softball him some things. We'll get to know Grant a tiny bit.
So a special interview here. We got Grant on as a guest. He runs a video game podcast called Active Reload with his co-host James.
James Timberlake at Sheridan Media.
Oh yeah, repping the shirt as well. Show the cam one more time for a little bit longer so they can see it. Active Reload. It's a video game podcast.
Just in case you didn't know.
They're much more informed when it comes to video games than we are. So check them out. Yeah,
at least the news.
You'll love the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's it's mostly we do news and stuff like that. I work at a radio tower, news channel, news store, whatever you want to call it, news station.
You work at a media station. There you go.
Yeah, the best news station.
The best news station.
All right, so Grant, we would like to start out by asking how you got your start in media.
Shoot, dude.
How far back you want to go?
Far back. I went to college for art, right? So I did learn about graphic design, illustration, and I think I got into comic books. Then I moved to New York, did more comics. Then moved to Philadelphia, did fine art and galleries. Then did video game stuff, concept art for video games. And then I just moved to Wyoming and I applied for a media company. And now I'm basically just like the art director, video producer, graphic designer, everything.
Grant's phenomenal with a pen. The guy has a natural talent to reproduce what's in his head.
Were you artistically inclined?
Like I was a lawyer, writing up contracts?
No.
Were you good with were you artistically inclined and passionate about it? Obviously, I'm sure you have to be, but how much do you think you learned comparatively what you knew going into college? Skill-wise.
A whole bunch.
They teach you theory more.
One college professor teacher was like, "You guys are graduating, yay!" Now the real lesson begins, and that's true. You really do. I mean, I honed my skills in college. When it comes to illustration, definitely, but I don't know.
I have a Grant original here. I got two of your pieces on my wall, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Here, I'll put one down. You guys keep asking him questions.
Oh, it's probably old. I don't know how old that is.
Concept art would be like if I bought the Halo 2 Collector's Edition and it came with the metal box and all the art for all the grunts and stuff. You worked on stuff like that, technically?
Yeah,
that's what concept art is?
I honed in all my skills with, basically. So, I accelerated in... It was really funny. I excelled in figure drawing because when I went to college, I was already pretty good compared to other, freshmen when it comes to drawing naked people, because I sat down and drew naked people a long time. Wow, you have that's an original?
Yeah. I have the spray can one you did too. It's like a pencil drawing or something.
And then I in high school and junior high, everybody would just ask me "Hey, draw some titties," and I would draw titties and eventually learn and practice on drawing titties. And by the time I went to college, I was like, I know exactly how these work.
Like super bad.
Yeah, so
just not
that's
penises.
why I got into comic books, because basically that's what comic books are. It's just that's why they all look like they're wearing spandex, because you just draw skin and then you wrap a sleeve around an arm and there's a sleeve.
Yeah.
Boy, I've got a money idea for you already.
You do?
But so, yeah, like
Futanari.
thinking, well, no, concept art for 3D figures. You could create your own figures, adjust them, and sell them. Just the art, not the actual figures themselves.
You could sell the figures themselves
Would
with
that
the
be?
liquid
You could sell the figures,
liquid 3D
yeah.
printing.
But like, let's say you wanted to make all the Lord of the Rings characters, and you added little features, or you couldn't copyright probably, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
something
well,
that would?
I don't know. I mostly like for freelance stuff. Like this is the new painting I'm working on. I don't know. It's just a guy's face for now, but it'll be a painting. I don't have any.
The guy
real
looks like he's
painting.
missing his red stapler.
Here's a real painting. It'll look like that.
Nice.
Grant can
that's-
only paint his wife, though. I've noticed that one doesn't look like her, though.
No, I know. The more you look at, everybody looks like me or my wife, pretty much.
He's done drawings, and I'm like, "That's your wife."
Unconsciously, right? You just
Yeah.
do it. It's like
It's
me
like
myself
when
and
50 First Dates when she draws all the egg paintings. You guys seen that? Where
I've seen it,
every
but I
day
don't
she
remember.
wakes up and repaints the garage, and every picture is a picture of Sandler, but it's an egg instead of his actual head. Have you seen? You haven't seen that?
I've
Oh,
seen
man.
it. I
never
haven't seen it in a long
First
time.
Dates, dude.
It's one of
Oh.
Adam Sandler's. It went flew under the radar for most of us because it was more of it had like chick flick vibes to it, but it still wasn't really a girl. I don't really care for Drew Barrymore personally, but
Oh yeah, no thanks.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I miss out
yeah.
on here?
When I was go back to the concept art stuff. So not too long ago, concept artists in the business were pretty much replaced big time by
AI.
so like there was no not AI, definitely not, although that's probably going to happen soon. But it used to be people were hired on, like say Bungie for the new Destiny game or Marathon, and they would hire concept artists in-house, and then they became freelance, and then they became nothing because the 3D modelers who were in-house were doing the concept art. Concept art is such a throwaway thing. You don't really need to be in-house. So I wanted to be, I don't want to do freelance. I didn't want to do freelance full time.
You want a job.
Yeah, I want a job. I like to go into work.
Yeah.
So that's why I got out of it and did graphic design and a bunch of stuff. Although if Bungie wanted to hire me,
I would
freelance,
unfriend you on all platforms if you worked for that fucking company.
I know, I'm joking. I actually did apply for them a couple years ago before I started working at Sheridan Media. And it was, I talked to a recruiter and everything, and it was exactly like you would imagine.
You're too white.
Like, can you imagine that? Yeah, and that's what happened. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm no longer going to put down white male as a in my application.
You just need to put she, her.
I know.
You know what? You need to do she, her, and then you need to put that you're from like a different country, or like not a different country, but you're not white. What's the closest
They
thing to?
basically were really
Mexican.
nice about it. They were just saying like, hey, we have a little too many white people here, especially men.
We have a little
So-
too many talented people here. Race is irrelevant, but
I know.
we're going to let the
Hard to-
company fail on our own. So let's just do that.
Yeah, it was a nice email in the most racist, nice way possible.
Yeah. Terrible. You've heard about the story, the guy from Obsidian, the guy who used to work there saying that people should sue Obsidian for their hiring practices if they'd applied for a job within the last year or so.
Dude, I applied. Well, not a year.
But either way,
A few-
he's saying that they're being racist towards white men in particular, and that
Reverse
they have grounds.
discrimination.
Yeah, they have grounds to sue for malpractice when it comes to their like hiring.
Yeah.
Who
Reverse
wants to
dis-
go through the hassle? That's the problem.
Well, if I mean, you got to imagine how many. The funniest thing to me is how they're pushing diversity, right? And then you look at the statistics of the number of white people in our country versus the number of black people versus the number of Mexicans versus the number of Asians. And then you have to say Asians. Well, they're not all, and blacks. They're not all from the same fucking country. So it's like the whole thing is a fucking clusterfuck. And white people aren't from the same place either. But anyway.
Also, I guess if you really wanted to get into DEI stuff, like if you have 70% white people in your business and 30% Hispanic or 20% Hispanic, 10% Black or whatever, I don't know the demographics, but if it reflected the demographics of the United States of America, then you're doing well, right? But it seems like they don't want it that way.
No, they want to.
Especially
They
in the
want
video game industry.
Well, that's because the video game industry is tied to the entertainment industry now because it's all big money. But they want it to look. It's just like when you're like watching every TV show as a gay couple. Okay, that's great, but that's not how it is in real life. Like, not every group of friends has a gay friend.
And it's a little bit pandering. I remember when it was kind of embarrassing having like the sidekick black guy. It was always like
the token black guy.
Yeah, that's why the South Park character's name was Token. Like that was a real thing, and it was cringy.
Yeah,
I remember. Have you ever seen You've Got Mail?
Yes,
a long time ago.
You remember Dave Chappelle is Tom Hanks' best friend in that movie?
Is he?
He's in it for like 2 seconds. Like, we got to get a black guy. Put in Dave Chappelle.
Well, not another team does it too, with Chris Evans.
Yeah.
They like make it a scene. Like that guy's like, I'm just here because I'm the black guy.
Yeah. I just watched a Scary Movie. I love that movie. Speaking of those guys,
American classic.
Wayans Brothers.
Wayans Brothers, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't go down with the ditties, but we'll see. So
I don't think so.
What do you have on your agenda there, PBR? What's the first thing we got going here?
I want to know. So we've been going into Grant covered his art background a little bit here. I also want to know just your, the history of you with video games. How'd you get started?
Dude,
you're starting to look like your brother, by the way. Oh, with the beard.
Blair, Virgil?
No, Verge.
God damn it. I look 50? Is that what you're saying? I look 50?
You're just filling out. Sorry.
The camera angle is making my head shape weird.
Whatever, bro.
Like,
who cares?
Whatever. I don't know. It started with the regular Nintendo, dude. My mom bought won a Nintendo from a bowling competition. And then started playing Mario Brothers, and boom. One of my biggest achievements in my life. I beat Mario Brothers without dying when I was 5 years old. And I remember that really well, like it was yesterday. And if you asked me to play it right now, like I probably couldn't get to World 3.
That is for anyone who hasn't played Mario, that's a hard fucking game.
It doesn't look hard because everybody plays the first level.
Then I got a Sega Genesis, dude, and I have it back here. When I was like in first grade, I wrote a book basically saying what I want to do, and it said I want to become a video game artist. My mom gave it to me a few years ago. I was like, holy crap. Boy, did that come true in the worst way. But that's always what I wanted to do ever since my first Game Pro magazine or what is it? EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Oh my God. I used to have I don't know what happened to them. I'm sure my mom threw them away, but I used to have a stack of OG Game Informers. Like before it was like, the free giveaway with the bundle at whatever the store was at the time, Funko Land.
I have a couple in my bookcase back there.
I had hundreds of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were subscribed, like they used to come with like a Game Pass subscription, and not Game Pass, but GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember having GameStop Pro membership, and I remember how excited I was to get the Game Informers, and they never came to our address, and I was like, I was at GameStop, and I was like, as a kid, why aren't I getting my magazines? It was like the only incentive for me to get GameStop Pro.
God,
I didn't trade in games.
Oh, dude, I did.
I did too. Huge
That was
regret.
a huge thing. I used to trade in consoles too to get a new console.
Too.
Oh,
I bought my I bought my first console in 8th or 7th grade. It was a PlayStation 1, and me and my friend Tyler, we saved our lunch money for forever. I mean, it was like $350, I think, and we got $2 a day, 5 days a week. So we pulled it together, and we bought a PlayStation 1. And the first game I think we bought was Gran Turismo.
A solid first buy.
Yep.
Not really a good game for those who aren't ready to learn a bit, because that game was not easy. as racing games go. You had to
No,
learn
I
it.
remember playing it and I was like, wow, this, because I've always played racing games. It's probably the genre I've stuck to the longest. And I when Gran Turismo came out, it blew me away. I was so happy playing that. I was like, wow, you have to stop in a straight line. I remember it tells you that in the booklet. It says like, don't be like a regular video game where you can turn and brake at the same time. Like you have to brake and then turn and hit the apex and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, dude, that sold me. And I've been a sim fan forever since.
Yeah, I remember playing that when I was a kid and go to high speed ring and just rip it off the left turn every time. And just
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the second left turn. You just catch air if you smash into it hard enough.
I always
Not
like
the
Deep
proper
Forest.
way.
Best
Deep
time though.
Forest.
Yeah.
Oh, Deep Forest Raceway. They have that on Assetto Corsa, by the way.
Really?
Oh, yeah, they have a bunch of Gran Turismo maps modded in. And if you want to get
I
down,
love,
I'm down. It's
I
awesome.
love that final turn on Deep Forest. That was so fun.
The one that comes, it's like almost a hairpin, but not.
It's almost a hairpin, but you could take it really fast. Yeah. Because you're coming downhill.
Yeah, and then you go back uphill, right? In a slight S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could just barely hit that wall and then come in. Oh, so good.
Well, that's what the NASCAR racer that went off the wall before they made that rule. He's like, I could do it in video games, so I figured I'd try it.
It worked.
Yep.
They immediately took that. They changed that rule immediately.
Well, no
because
shit.
eventually people are going to do it because it works, and then people are going to die.
Yeah, someone's gonna hit the wrong wall and get fucking crumpled. All right, so there's a brief history of game. You know what's funny? I'm surprised you didn't play Gran Turismo 5 with us when I had a group of probably 6 older people playing it. A couple dads and a couple coworkers.
Well, we didn't start playing games until PlayStation 4, until Rainbow Six Siege.
That's right.
Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4.
Maybe on and off, because it was when I moved in with your brother that we really started gaming.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
and then you guys built the half pipe in the garage.
Yeah,
so
now
fun.
I have one in my garage now because Blair
You do?
hell yeah, Blair tore down my dream, so I had to rebuild them, you know?
You don't break a hip?
Nah, mine's a little more mellow than the one that was at his house.
Yeah.
So it's like, I call it the old man ramp. It's perfect. It's got enough to where your trucks won't hang up on the coping. You're not going to fall like, oh man, were you there when his neighbor broke his foot?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hibbard
That's
slammed.
his girlfriend's dad now, right?
I think that's who it was. I don't remember exact. No. Yeah, maybe, probably. I don't know.
Okay.
What one of them likes to drink the most?
I don't think it was him.
The whole street. No, I don't think it was him either, because he was more of a serious guy, right? He does like the sign art, doesn't he? Do signs and stuff.
Yeah.
And that wasn't him. He was a nice guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I rebuilt the ramp. It's collecting dust, but
I arcades definitely got me into video games too. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which I've said for years now, is my favorite video game ever.
The only arcades that were ever around when I was younger, outside of like actual arcades, but ones that like people I actually was at the movie theaters.
Oh yeah,
they always had like
Really?
a big, like 40 cabinet arcade. So
playing Time Crisis and stuff.
Oh god, that like tank game where you're like in the little goggles and shit.
Oh, you put your head.
I love that game.
It's like Battle something.
Yeah, something. Sorry, PBR, but my dad bought 3 arcade cabinets. He bought Cyberball, which was like a football game with robots, Pac-Man, and Centipede, and he has them still, original cabinets.
Oh, dude, he's got original Centipede. I love that game.
Except for me and my brother fucked it up searching for quarters. We messed the board up, but it is what it is. We were young.
I always wanted an NBA Jam, or I don't need Street Fighter, right? Because I can play it in my house. But if I had a nice NBA Jam arcade, or a Time Splitter, Time Crisis.
Yeah.
I'd say like 5 to 10 years ago, barcades came on the scene and started kind of resurging arcades. But then now we've got arcades on a resurgence, but they're more gambling based or they're more for
Yeah.
ticket based. There's not a focus of like Time Crisis or
Because everybody can
Cruising
do it
World.
at
It's
home
all
now.
just a focus. Yeah, it's a focus on just tickets.
Yeah, but I really like
they're
the
cool
old
too.
I like the barcade version of where it's focused on high scores and competition. So you can still kind of do that. Like if you had you can have a Street Fighter 2 competition at your local bar, and you can put your name and you have prizes and stuff like that, and people would come. It's just like now it's like a Dave and Buster's style arcade at bowling alleys and stuff, which it's kind of cool. It's just stupid. I think it's good for kids.
People don't go out, especially like my age, or I guess people like me. Like back in the day, to be a gamer, you had to go to the arcade. You know,
Yeah.
if you couldn't afford a console at home.
I remember arcades is like smelly. It smelled like cigarettes. It had that cool
nasty carpet, yeah.
And usually a rolling rink around a skating rink,
right.
I guess.
That's right. I remember back to the Hillsdale Mall days.
Yeah, it's just everything smelled like smoke, teenagers, and BO, and you put quarters on the top. Let's see if you put them like right here next to the camera on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Yep. You stack them up for the next person in line. I used to go to this the skating rink, King Skate in Elk Grove, and I would not even buy skates. My mom would give me money for skates and stuff, and it was like $25 or whatever, and with some food and some skates, and I would just use $25 to dominate the Street Fighter.
My mom would give me $2. $2. Go have fun. I'm like, she's like, you got to make it last. Make it last.
Yeah, right.
So I have to go pick the games. I'm like, fuck. So then I degenerately would have to go sneak into all the slots and look for extra quarters. This was when I was a really little kid, but $2, man, was not enough.
Yeah, from reaching in, the slot, has the flap, the door, and it kind of pulled down, and one of my cousins pulled me back. He's like, "Come on, let's go!" And it just ripped the skin off from the first knuckle all the way to my fingernail. It's still there.
The golden age of gaming is beyond us now.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't think so either. I think that we're in a stagnant place though, where creativity has kind of been pushed to the wayside. I feel like there hasn't been any innovation in so long that it's hard for anyone to like, what is the next phase? Because I don't think it's VR.
No, I think VR is just not sticking with anybody. Although it seems like that would be the next phase, but
it's not. It doesn't change. I guess it kind of does, but like it doesn't really change the games that are being made. They're just making games and adapting them to VR, or like having VR in mind when they're making the game, but they're not like truly innovating anything. At least with bigger games, I'm sure there's some indie games that they're like, well, that's pretty.
Some indie games. Concept. I mean, Half-Life, Alex is still.
I heard that was good.
The pinnacle, and that came out almost 4 years ago. PBR, do you play VR games?
No, I've played on is it the HTC Vive?
I had
is
a
that how you pronounce that?
A Vive. No, I sold my Vive.
I've played on a Vive, and I've played, I can't remember what else I played on, but my roommate had a Vive, and we'd pull the pin out and do like skee ball, and it'd be a grenade, but you'd skee ball with grenades.
That game was fun. I forget what that was.
That was fun.
Yeah, I played that too.
He played horror games predominantly.
I can't.
That's like pretty much what the most talented VR studios are doing. Like the new Metro game that just came out.
They did VR?
VR, yeah. Ooh. And it's scary. It works good because it's close quarters horror, like, in a freaking metro tunnel in Russia. So
that's all that
I'm a big Metro guy.
Is immersion. Levels of immersion, I think, is the only thing that VR really adds right now.
Yeah, and then it goes away pretty fast. I mean, if you're like, how long does that really last? I don't know. I think VR is more interesting in things like surgery, learning how to do surgery, or like basketball games, NBA courtside seats and stuff like that. I think that's way more interesting than video games.
Yeah,
VR is educational too. Sorry, Duce. Yeah. It's educational in that they're using it in schools now for career exploration. They have some sort of VR walk through the day in a life of this job or walk through a day in a life of this job. They have that at our school right now. It's kind of cool.
Do they have any actual jobs there, like dirty work jobs, like cleaning
It's
toilets and shit?
it's blue collar VR.
Why they want everyone to be blue collar?
CTE
Take me to the
CTE is how
construction
you make
site.
money. Everyone needs career technical education now. So you need plumbers, electricians, and the problem is everyone around here charges whatever they want. So we need more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't going away too. It's a job that's AI is not going to take that job over. If you're a
Right.
lawyer,
At least for now.
ChatGPT is going to like. Do we really need you to drop some sort of contract?
I think
No.
the only thing with like that is not the contract side, but ChatGPT at this point is not going to pick up nuances of like how to manipulate something as at right now where it's at. Maybe it could, but I feel like a real lawyer is going to find a loophole a little easier because it's not going to be so analytical in thought, not so like, you know,
morally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not that AI is going to be moral at all, but
I know, but it could. I guess it depends, right?
yeah, it depends
But
on who's...
Cryptocurrency, that was the whole thing with smart contracted coins and cryptocurrency. Like, take the bullshit out of a contract and make it super verifiable. Like, if Duce and I get into a contract, the moment he fulfills it, he gets paid by me, and that's how the smart contract works. But once cryptocurrency kind of, most people realize it's just for investment now and not for actual practical use.
I think that's going to change in the next 5 years. Because let's just use voting for example. If you could have a voting system to where every exchange, right, is public, but it's just a number, right? So let's say you vote red or whatever. It's going to show the red vote come through, but it's not going to say who voted for that, unless like you have your own verification number and shit like that. So I feel like with things like voting, having something that's so secure and I don't know. The problem with that is what blockchain are they going to use? Who's in charge of this algorithm that's set up? Like everything's manipulated. It can be manipulated at the end of the day. But
the more attraction that gets drawn to those things, the more attraction there'll be to manipulate things with that.
I like good old fashioned gold.
I guess
gold's up, isn't it?
Huh?
Gold's up right now.
It's like it's always up. It's always down. It's always the same. That's why we have Fort Knox.
Should we? I have 2 more questions for Grant quick before we get into our segment for the day.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
I'll make them quick.
It's only been 30 minutes so far.
Yeah, I know. What moved you from Cali to Wyoming? But it sounds like you've been in New York before.
Jeez,
that.
Man.
He's been all over.
How long do you have?
Just give him the quick one.
I don't know. Policy?
Everything is more reasonable when it comes to affordability too. You're not getting overcharged.
Yeah, you can own a home. I don't know. I like Wyoming. I have some family here. My wife's side of family here. We talked about this last night to the person I was buying a car with, but it's okay. So imagine starting your elementary school career, I guess your school career at your home in a town, small town. Me and Duce are sort of from the same town, same county. But and then you go to school and then you go to college, and by the time you come back to start your family, a job, and all the skills you've learned, the entire town has completely changed. So it was like 60,000 people, then it was 350,000 people. There were the neighborhoods you grew up in that you ran around with your other friends and stuff is filled with homeless and needles, and and it's really just bad policy. That's what it was. And then you feel like you're not represented. Like I'm from Sacramento County, and they fucking hate you. It feels like they hate you. So even though it's a pretty diverse place when it comes like in terms of politics, it doesn't reflect that in the policy makers. Nope. It's just there. And another thing, when I lived in San Francisco, a lot of people would the people who were voting in San Francisco were only there for a little bit. I think it was like 79% in San Francisco County, the district of San Francisco, the real city.
They don't have to live with what they vote for.
Yeah, they're there for 10 years, and they're like, I was told to do it this way, and now I'm gonna leave. So what the hell? Like, I'm not gonna be here. They have no real attachment to the city or to the place, and a lot of people in California feel like that. And so the people who were born and raised in California for generations, they're just left behind, sort of. And I just wanted to start a new legacy in
Yeah,
a
it makes
place
sense.
that is where it feels like you're represented. And around here, if you mess up at your job, like if you're on the school board and you suck, you're out. You bye bye. Like there's no tolerance for shittiness here, and that's what I like.
The
And it's also
union is
too cold for
strong
people.
in California when it comes to
Yeah.
teachers.
Yes.
Really?
Uh,
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get rid of bad people because they're
yeah.
bred into the system. They've been there. They've been working there for 10 years. They got their tenure. They don't have to try anymore, and they can't get fired, so they just don't. They don't produce, and yeah, it's just it's the whole Doge thing, you know.
Oh, it's pretty easy to fire someone out this way too.
Yeah,
You just
Yeah.
you can give them the hint and they'll be done. Like reprimand, give them a write up and a reprimand, and that's pretty much it. You know,
they'll sue you in
you're not
California.
that's the hint. You don't want to be working there anymore.
Yeah,
It happened to one coworker that I know so far.
Yeah. The funny thing about California, at least Northern California, is so vastly different from Northern California and Southern California. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. But you you really feel the bad policy. You feel it really fast. So when around here, people are like, oh, some people who are more, I don't know, they don't really care much about illegal immigration, right? But in California, people care big time, or in Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, stuff like that. They care big time because it really, really affects you immediately. And then I remember just having Market Street felt like a prison yard by the time I left. And I would say 90% of them were there illegally. So from all over the world, it was just a place to do drugs and do criminal activity and stuff. And I'm like, I'm out. I was out. So
San Francisco
Damn,
sucks fat dick.
that's a good
it
answer.
sucks
Thank
because
you
I
for
fucking
that
love
was,
San Francisco. I used to love San Francisco. I'm sure you did too, Duce. But like it's not there anymore. And I used to love Elk Grove. It's not quite there anymore.
Elk Grove, I can't bear to be in for more than a couple days. It's just the number of people has literally quadrupled, and the area has not grown.
I
So
talked
Yeah,
to
I
two
know. Like
people yesterday from San Francisco separately that both said the same thing. They said they're not going back.
I'll never go back there. I never lived in San Francisco. I stayed in San Francisco a few times, but I lived just outside of the city, and it's just you could watch it just decaying and like just
yeah, you
people
could.
caring less and less that live
Yep.
there.
I mean, Melody was pregnant, and there's like a homeless guy threatening to kill her. It was in the middle of the day after work, and no one helped her. Like, homeless guy following her for 5 blocks, trying to kill her, stab her, and rape her, and no one. People were like, okay, like I,
It's a
they're just
crazy
dead.
it's a crazy homeless guy. No one, he's not gonna do nothing.
I
That's
know,
the
but
thought
the funny
process.
thing, that's
It's
what
just like
we
there's
used to.
desensitization now.
Oh yeah.
That's what we used to think, dude. Like, oh, it's a homeless guy. He's just crazy. He's not gonna do anything. Until like right the year before I left, there was like 4 murders on a weekend from homeless guys, and they were just doing. They were like just stabbing people, like slicing people, and then they would die from an infection the next day. So it was just crazy people with sharp objects. It's not fun to be around. I don't care.
They,
And
it,
you weren't allowed to carry a gun in San Francisco. You weren't. They fucking. They don't
I
even like.
did.
I know.
You can't you can't carry.
No, you can't have
No.
guns in the city. It's illegal. I one
What?
time I was working at a federal courthouse,
Oh my god.
and I didn't know they were gonna be. They literally scanned all of our equipment, and I was like, "Thank God I put my gun in the car because I usually kept it in the toolbox." And this place was like so locked down. The craziest part was we found a 223 cartridge in the street in front of it, which was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, in San Francisco to find a rifle caliber
Like,
cartridge. Yeah, spent cartridge on the ground. It's crazy. I mean, it could have
You
been
can
from one of law enforcement like shooting range or something, and it just fell out of their, stuck in
you
their
can
jacket.
carry. Sorry,
Go.
you can carry in my state without even needing a concealed permit.
Yeah, here too.
Yeah, same with mine.
Yeah, because this is America.
Constitutional carry.
Yep, we have
Yeah.
constitutional carry too. I wouldn't have moved here. My state was the only state in the union that was red every county. So,
Grant, one last
What's up?
question for you, and then I'll shut
Yep.
up here, Gaming Grapes. What do you find yourself playing in Q4?
You mean right now?
Sure. Yeah.
nothing. Siege?
Tarkov Arena, dude. I really like Tarkov Arena. I love that. It's like one of my favorite games of the year. I started playing it in January. It's gone through what? This is probably the third real iteration of it, right?
Three or four, yeah.
And
real big changes.
The first one it had some problems, especially with balance, and then they fixed it, and now it's gone through another iteration, and I'm liking it a lot. I don't know. I think the direction that Tarkov Arena is heading is a positive direction. I also like. I started playing Black Myth Wukong. That game is fantastic, dude.
Is it a Souls like? I don't even know what it is.
It's closer to Ninja Gaiden, but yeah, it's a Souls like. I guess you can call it. The controls aren't really like a Souls game, but it's like the emphasis is on boss fights. But one thing that Black Myth does really well, the graphics are great, but they have, like the minions that you're finding. Let's say you're playing Dark Souls and you're on your way from one bonfire to the boss, and you have to fight guys, that you've already beat before, and they really just come at you, and then you beat them and you move on, and you can get killed from them. They can mob you. This one does the same thing, sort of, but the minions have character to it. They talk to you. They're like, "Oh, that's him. We were told he was going to come this way. Let's fight him." Or they'll run away. Like, it seems there's more lore building in this game than like a Dark Souls game. I'm not saying Dark Souls doesn't have a lore, but all their lore is all like in the back end. You can get it if you look for it or want it. But this one, it's in the front end, and I really like it. I really, really like it. That's definitely the game that I want to finish the end of this year. And Unicorn Overlord.
Never heard of it.
Unicorn Overlord, baby. That's the game of the year. I'm telling you that. If you like strategy RPGs, that's the best game. One of the best strategy RPGs I've ever played.
Oh, I have seen game.
It might be my all-time favorite.
I think I saw it in one of the podcasts you guys were talking about it, and you threw a video up of it. Yeah.
I can't stop talking about it. I love that game.
So you talked about in your last podcast, if people haven't seen on Active Reload, they talk about best games of the year awards, things like that.
Yeah.
Your
Fuck Jeff Keighley,
that,
by the way.
if you can't win an action game award, should you be able to win the entire game of the year?
Well, here's how I
do you think Black Myth is? Sorry, go ahead.
I phrase it because there's Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2, which was a really good game, and it's an action game, and it's nominated with Black Myth, and it's like Black Myth is nominated for Game of the Year as well as Action Game of the Year, and obviously Black Myth is going to win the Action Game of the Year because it's in its own. If it can't win its own category, how is it going to be nominated for Game of the Year? And I think what they're trying to do is like action inside a game, because they're really. I know I'm big on. I guess I'm kind of old school. I like categorizing games in like 3D action, 3D platformer, stuff like that. So action is pretty broad. So maybe they mean like this game has the best action in it. And if that was the case, Warhammer could possibly win because it's very cinematic, actiony. But I don't think it's as good of a game as Wukong.
I haven't played it either. I don't have enough money to be playing any games right now.
People hated that. I talk around the offices at my work. People were like, they totally disagreed with me. And I was like, I don't know how everybody disagrees with me. You need to win your category. It's like going to the playoff, the college football reference, college football playoff without winning your division.
Yeah, I guess it
division.
It
Isn't
should.
Alabama going to go to the playoffs?
Oh my
and
god!
they're
Please
like
don't talk
dog
about
water
sports.
this year.
Probably.
Yeah.
Duce is gonna have an aneurysm.
No,
I don't watch college ball myself, so
I don't watch any ball. It's ass. I'm like Shroud in that regard. Huh? Sports? What? Except for the fact that I could actually play sports, and Shroud is not. He's a soft
I did
body.
play Shroud's game.
I won't play it I'd put the screenshot up right now, but the developer has a whole page on DEI. And I'm just like, well, I'm not playing this game because you guys clearly don't need my support. You've got diversity, equity, and inclusion supporting you.
What's wrong with DEI? What if you were hired, or what if you were a minority person and you're hired and then you say, am I a DEI hire? And they would, or
it devalues you instantly.
You are a DEI hire. And they'd be like, that's really offensive. I earned this job. No, actually, you were a DEI hire. You know how offensive that is?
You were third in the list, actually.
That's so offensive. It's incredibly offensive. So when you promote DEI policies in your business and people go, I'm not going to support that, they're like, why are you racist? Like, no, you're backwards.
You're racist. You think you're so much better and smarter than every other race on the planet that you need to lift them up. That's what they're saying. I'm so much smarter than you that I need to lift you up so you can see what it's like to be me. That's the way I feel about it.
It's a stupid white savior thing, I guess. And it's also, I don't remember what I was going to say, but it was.
Look,
it's also, it's like, it's incredibly offensive.
The development team for them too is pretty much all white people. There's like a couple people, maybe like a black guy and an Asian woman or something that. And I'm like, how can you push DEI when you guys you don't even live by it? Because if you did live by it, you wouldn't have any success.
Yeah, it goes deeper, obviously. Well, I think everybody knows it goes deep with like BlackRock and State Street and stuff. But
Vanguard.
It's also, they don't need help. People don't need my help. Like I guess like when you make a wheelchair entrance, that's pretty nice, I guess. And having that on the books is like, okay, it's good. But taking it all the way to like, hey, I'm sorry, Mr. Minority, you're going to need my help because everybody hates you. And you are at a disadvantage just because you were born a different color. So we're going to make you feel better. Like, it's just, it makes me want to say, fuck off.
It's race shaming. It's
incredibly offensive.
People who think they're superior that are trying to show they're basically doing what our friend Carney does and virtue signaling as hard as possible. Fuck Carney.
I'm not going to talk shit about it.
Look, Carney can suck my dick. Okay, I love Carney to death, but he can suck my dick. That fake fuck. That fake fucking clown.
I don't care, but when it comes to DEI, it's really hard to.
I hope he sees this one day.
I could get into. It's too deep.
No,
our business law professor used to talk about it, and he'd say, "All right, you got 70 grand salary on the board here. Here's the qualifications. You got these 3 people. Which one are you going to choose?
The most productive.
Every motherfucker chooses the top qualified one. But what happens? He goes, well, you got over 50 employees, so you got to choose this one here.
Yeah.
You got to choose the third on the list. He's only got 1 year of experience, but he fits the
and it gets. I mean, we're just talking about game development, and I really do think it ruins game development. But imagine like flights, Haas surgeons. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, we're gonna take the 4th guy down because he's not qualified. He was,
the guy who only made 15 mistakes on his test. We're gonna hire him just because he fits the bill.
Yeah.
And then it's all pandering anyways. It's fucking horrible, man. Stupid. I don't like. That's like the worst shit. Even the people who are pushing forward on it, they know that it's bad, and these are weapons.
I feel
weaponization.
I feel like a lot of it is to break down the structure of everything that was, so they can rebuild it however they want, and however they want is with more oversight from people higher up. So
it's a globalist idea that likes to destroy shit. That's it.
Man, I wish I had that kind of money.
Listen, I got such a good topic on that, but we better end it there.
Yeah, we'll get in. I mean, because it kind of leads into the game gripes thing. It's like, what issues do we have with either current games or like shit going on in the industry? And
are we going to talk about game gripes?
Yeah.
My white guy blood pressure is rising. I shouldn't have had this Rockstar. Speaking of Rockstar, this game called Avowed.
Oh, total dog shit. I will never play that. Yeah, the guy's doing the whole DEI thing. Are you not watching the news, Grant? Do you not have a podcast?
Why do you worry
bro?
so much about DEI, Duce?
Because I don't want to. Because if I buy that game, if I buy into that game, I'm paying that man's salary. I'm not sending a message to the gaming industry that you can make as many games about a trans, lesbian, queer gender bitch all you want. I'm not going to buy it even if the game is amazing because I have principles. I won't go watch a movie if there's an actor I don't want in there. I won't even steal a Disney movie. That's how much I don't play these games. I won't watch it illegally.
Did you can you hear my heater that just turned on?
Nah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, but
I like gaming.
Like
You're the fucking problem. That's the problem. Get James on here
problem.
so I can tell him that too.
You can't be morally like
it's not morals.
Secure. I know, but you can't be principally secure with everything. I guess I respect it, but I'm on an iPad right now. I know I'm not for slave labor, but I know this was built with slave labor. So it's like I'm going to you can't live free from it forever. But I will say with Avowed, I like Obsidian, and if they want to do DEI practices, they can.
I think
it really affects them, if you start to see pandering in the game, that's really annoying. Then it bothers me. If it doesn't, then I guess it's worked out. I guess. So I'll get it. I like Obsidian. And I've been waiting for a Skyrim forever, and Avowed is.
I think you need to look into that game a little bit more. I think you might change your mind because there's certain things that have been said by, I'm not sure his position at the company. I don't know if he's game director or what he is in particular, but the stuff that he's saying is so outlandish that I don't want to have anything to do with playing his game or giving his ideology a leg forward, because as soon as I give that $60 or whatever the game costs, even if I return the game or sell it back to GameStop or whatever, they don't care. The sale is showed on the books. I know returns are starting to show too because of a lot of the shit that's going on, but I refuse to take part in that part of game. It's just like politics. Like I stopped watching TV shows and movies because they're nonstop throwing it in my face. Now, I don't care if you vote a certain way or have certain ideas, but as soon as it starts to leach into the entertainment you provide, that's when I draw the line. Like, it's just too much. Also, I don't care if slaves made my iPad. It's a great product.
Yeah, totally respectable. I'm just saying. That's respectable, dude.
So, yeah.
What about you, PBR? Are you excited for? I mean, do you guys play single player games?
I played the other day.
I play single player 360 games, and like what's on my I have a big gaming shelf in my other room, so I play like all my old school games. I love playing single player to shut my brain off.
The good
old
times.
Did you guys play the Warhammer game this year?
No, I can't afford any games right now.
Space Marine 2?
I've seen it and it sounded amazing, but I can't. It's just not in the budget. So, gaming. Yep. I've been only playing games I've owned for the last 2 years for the most part. I couldn't even tell you the last game I bought because I've been playing Fortnite with the girlfriend's daughter, so that's a free to play game. Tarkov, I have EOD, so I kind of get everything that goes along with that. The single player game I played most recently was Kingdom Come. I will buy the new one of that though. That is a game I will take a little
me
stretch
too.
for.
That's definitely one of my most anticipated games.
Yeah.
It would have been this year, but it got delayed, which is a good idea.
Fine by me. I don't care about delays.
Yeah.
The delays have never bothered me.
Medal of Honor Warfighter right now. Since you played it, I played through the first Medal of Honor 2010.
He accidentally bought the wrong
Warfighter. So I didn't buy the wrong one. They put
the
it's
wrong
labeled
disc.
as Warfighter. They put the wrong disc in the sleeve because game companies can't even sell the fucking case anymore. They have to put them in sleeves because people who trade them in don't take care of their video games.
Not me, man. I have every single case I have, except for maybe one, which is a couple old games that are pretty valuable. Like I have Dreamcast, the Spawn game on Dreamcast, which is just the disc by itself is worth over 200. And but other than that, all my cases have booklets or inserts in them. They're all 100% complete.
Yeah. Remember how great it was with 360 or whatever? You'd go home or even back further. You spend all day in town, get home. Maybe this is just me, but you take a poop while the game's downloading, and you read the new manual. I used to just read manuals in the bathroom and get pumped up.
Pumped up and pooped out.
It's better than reading the spray, like the bathroom spray can.
Yeah, I always had a Victoria's Secrets catalog in there, so.
I don't read. I'll just bring my phone. I don't know.
Okay, this was before phones, I think is what he said.
That was before phones, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't even remember pooping before a phone.
I do, because I used to always have a couple skate mags, a couple gaming magazines, and obviously the Victoria's Secrets catalog.
I do used to. I love my skateboarding mags. I think I had. What was it? I think it was like British, but I loved it. Or maybe Australian. Think of a skateboarding mag, not Thrasher.
Probably like GF Rowley, and some people like
Transworld.
that. I imagine.
What he said?
Transworld. They did surfing magazine and a skate magazine.
Yes, that's what I used to love. That was my favorite.
Imagine that name now.
Yeah, that's a little different meaning. Guys, did you pick up the newest Transworld?
It's in the.
I didn't.
Plastic covering over it.
It's sold in a different section now.
Yeah, sold. Do you remember porn?
Do I remember it?
That had the porn section,
bro? Okay, so this you reminded me of this earlier when we in PBR was talking about sneaking in and being a degen and stealing quarters, because back in the day I used to get my hair cut. And they also owned a video rental place that was next door. So when you were done with your haircut, you'd go next door and like maybe pick out a movie or at least browse the movies. And they had the porn section. The guy that worked there had to know because it had the curtain, and you'd stand there at the movies that are right next to the curtain, just kind of like, whoa, there's like 3D in that pee. How do they do it? Anyway, yeah. I know you're talking about the curtain.
3D and P? Is that what you said?
3D in that P.
Oh, 3D in that P.
My first big marketing job was for Pepsi, and my boss was awesome. She was the nicest boss probably I've ever had. And so attractive. And she ran the movie store in town for like a decade, she said. And she had experiences where her former principals or professors, they'd come in and they'd go in the dirty movie section, like people she knew.
The internet changed that. Now you can be a pervert
awkward
in private.
Yeah, that would damn dude,
the world is not as cool as it used to be. You used to, when you were a degenerate, you used to have to go to the store to buy your dirty magazines. You couldn't just like get on your phone and go in the bathroom and just fucking Dude, you had to. Everybody knew about it. Now you can hide it.
CrossFit gym, healthy food, protein shake company, and whatever else you have, nail salon. It used to be, like you said, video store, Papa Murphy's Pizza, and your haircut place.
Mm-hmm.
Little Caesars.
Little Caesars probably more likely. Yeah, buddy.
I just had pizza right before I got on.
I haven't had pizza in a while. We also are so off topic.
No, we're on topic. We're cooking with grease right now.
Hell yeah.
Great.
I burnt my arm with bacon grease the other day. It turned into not anymore. It's gone now, but it turned into a big old fucking pus-filled boil on my arm.
Ugh.
It's okay. I survived.
Probably the worst kind of burns.
Yeah. It didn't really hurt, though. The thing that sucked is it was on my mouse hand, so I would get a little bit of moisture on my mouse pad. You got it there, Grant? You good?
Yeah. What are you talking about? I'm fine.
I'm fine. What are you talking about?
All right. Gaming gripes.
Yeah.
Duce, you guys want to
I'm going to say, okay, outside of industry, my biggest gripe, and it's been this for a long time, is fucking menu systems in games.
Oh,
EA broke it. EA ruined it all.
User interface.
Yes. Like, back in the day, we'll just say like Quake, right? It was a vertically stacked menu. You had single player, multiplayer or arcade, then settings and exit game or save load. And now it's just like, what page? What does this page even do? Well, I'd say one of the worst, and it got gradually worse and worse as time went on, was Rainbow Six. The original menu in Rainbow Six was usable, and then they changed it to this fucking Windows tile bullshit with a bunch of fucking dumbass little features everywhere.
It's a mobile design influence, I guess.
I think you remember when Windows 8 came out.
Yeah,
everybody hated Windows 8, and all these game companies decide, hey, let's make all our menus like Windows 8.
That's really what they did. The little tiles everywhere.
I love this gaming gripe. I hate it. Game menus have been bad this generation, like this console generation, I guess, Xbox Series and PS5. Meow. Shut up, cat. The menus are practically broken, almost all the games. And I think it has something to do with the engines that they're using. I think the menus are rendering in the background.
They are. Like if you look at Siege, it has the 3D modeled character in the scene going on behind the menu. But that's I'm pretty sure there are games that had that but still had good fucking menu layouts where everything was clear and decisive and like this is what you get. Go ahead.
EA would have loading issues. So let's go back to like Madden 05, Madden 06. You'd have a player in the background for your team. So if you chose the Packers, or let's say, I think Alexander was on the cover for the Seahawks in 07, you'd have the players with a video feature going on, and it would be stuttery and slow, but it was really easy to read. It was all off to the left. Same with NASCAR. So EA used to lay out all their games, Madden, NASCAR, NBA, or whatever, and you could read down the list. Then they changed it.
It's mostly UI, UX, right? So the UI is the design, the layout. The UX is how freaking well it works. And across the board, on modern video games, are terrible. I don't know if you've ever played the new Borderlands game, Borderlands 3, but that has the worst menu in the video game history.
You think worse than Siege?
Yeah, I do.
And Fortnite's pretty dog shit too.
Fortnite menu is also really bad, but at least it's functional.
The functionality comes at the top because everything is at the top, so it's just a click over to the next category.
Try to invert your Y-axis if you've never played Fortnite before. Good luck.
Find it? Yeah, it took me a long time to figure out how to even get to that setting. The amount of settings in that game alone, like adjustments, it makes no sense. Just DEI that shit. Just force people to fucking play it a certain way. Let them adjust their sensitivity, but everything else just stop.
Allow a simplified menu design. Just say, I want the simple mode, and I don't want to do anything else.
I think phones have it for like elderly people and children. Yeah. Take away half of what we see here. I don't need it.
I can't agree more with that, Greg. I really, really hate menu design these days. Someone who's like a really innovative UI designer or UX designer, you're valuable. Like, get your money, man.
What do you mean? All they gotta do is go look at fucking Pac-Man. I mean, like, maybe not Pac-Man, but like Mario, it's 1 player, 2 player, start. Like, that's it.
There's a lot. Well, I think Warhammer has a great.
I haven't seen that. I'm not saying that every game now has a bad.
No,
menu.
I know. But
I'm saying the majority of big games have butt cheek menus. I mean, they're bad.
One of my favorite games of the year. It didn't come out this year, but they redid it. Was Hunt Showdown, the 1896 version, and it still has just a god awful menu. It's so.
I don't know what
so god-awful.
What are they trying to do that they fail?
No idea.
Is it? I feel like it's people that never gamed before making these games and these menus. They're just piggybacking off of the
overstimulating crap in your face. Like, it reminds me of the movie Ready Player One when they show what their new advertising model will be if they win. I don't remember what the bad guys are in that movie, but it's just throwing crap in your face. Pretty soon it's going to be advertisements.
It already is. It already is in some games.
There is some. I'm okay with ads in games as long, like, a couple ways. If it's like a sports game and you're advertising Coca-Cola in a sports game and you're trying to make a baseball simulator or something, that's fine. Or if you're advertising your own game stuff. So if like Fortnite is advertising the skin for something else, I'm okay with that. But if Fortnite started and they do clever things with like Audi, or I think they did a Porsche one, pretty clever. But
in-game stuff is different than just blatantly
I'm
putting
comfortable. I'm comfortable watching an ad for the reward,
No,
even if
no,
they give you an option. But
no.
that'd be the last thing I
That's
would
a
do because
mobile
I don't
game
want.
thing that should never come to anything
I don't like that.
beyond
I don't like
mobile.
that because
You don't like.
the design is being like, well, let's make it harder. So
Yeah,
let's
so
make
anybody
it
who doesn't want to sit there and watch a stupid fucking ad, like
I'll fucking throw the game away.
you're taking people away from the game to watch it. Just put like with YouTube, right? Why do I have to take an ad break? Do what they did in the early 2000s. Fucking put your advertisement on the side of the screen. I don't want to be bothered by your ads because then I get ad block. Now you get no ad revenue from me. And then there's places like Twitch where they force ads on you where I deleted my account. I guess I'm very strong-willed when it comes to these kind of things, but like I will delete an account and never go back to something if they force me into advertising. Because I'm never going to buy anything on those fucking ads.
What I'm saying is, so this
Unless
might
it's
I might
Russian
have explained it wrong, or I might not have. Let's say you're playing hockey or UFC, and in the bottom right it says click to watch this advertisement for such and such points. And if you want to watch the ad, you click on it, you get the points for your
Hard
development
pass.
of
Why are you
character.
taking me
Or
out of
you
your
get
game?
or you get a trading pack or whatever.
Nope.
You don't want that.
No.
No,
take
I
me
don't
out
like
of your
that.
game. I want to play the video game. I don't want to watch advertisements to get a perk.
I knew exactly what you were talking about. I don't like that because
Okay.
it starts the design of the grind in the game. Say if it's XP, the design is let's make it slower unless they
Pay
do
money.
the ad.
Right.
Watch the ads are there to annoy you, so you pay money to buy the fucking pass. So they can suck my cock. I'm sorry,
but that's a free to play model. I really don't like free to play games.
Yeah,
there's only maybe one. I mean, 4 that I like.
Fortnite is, in my opinion, the best free to play game I've ever played.
That's the pinnacle. I mean, Counter-Strike.
It's only free to play now, though.
It's only free to play recently. And Valorant. I can't think of anything else.
Rocket League was paid the first time, so I don't know if I'd consider that free to play.
It is now.
It's been free to play for a long time though. Now, because I remember when it first came out. I remember them talking about stories about it. I
paid for that
melting people's PlayStations. It got so hot.
Yep, it did mine.
Never played it, not once. I've watched PBR play it on stream.
That's another menu problem. That was a menu issue. It was if you let it run on, if you let it sit on your menu, it would hard crash your PlayStation, big time. Overheat it, big time.
Dang.
Yep.
So
what's your gaming, Greg?
Yeah. What about you, PBR? Because mine, the main one for me is menu layout outside of the development.
I have a few on here regarding AI. The first one I put was when you have allies in a video game and you're going through a single player campaign, if they're bad allies and they do nothing. That's a gripe that I have. I like having allies that help a little bit.
It's like Battlefield when you're playing and you got your teammates who shoot 1,000 bullets. It's single player, but they don't actually kill anything.
It's not as bad anymore because controllers are so much smoother. But when I'm playing Warfighter, like, I'm so glad the AI is actually somewhat functional because it's really hard aiming on that game with the old school controller.
What do we call AI now?
If you miss an enemy,
because AI back then meant like sprites, like characters in the game that were NPCs. But now when you say AI, you think of something that's functioning.
Are you talking about AI being like a development side or AI just being like
he's talking about
smart?
I'm saying NPCs. So like if you're in a war game and you have 3 NPC soldiers that are on your squad, if they don't shoot anybody, or if you're with Halo and you're the elite and you're the arbiter running around and the arbiter doesn't have his co-buddies helping when you're like with the grunts.
Yeah.
They just shoot and damage the enemy, but there's no damage actually happening. It's just splash that is kind of a gripe for me.
I know. I really don't like how AI hasn't gotten any better.
It's gotten worse.
If you take Call of Duty, for example, like Call of Duty 2, your AI partners, like when you're rushing the battlefield, they all are making shots, dying, flanking. They're all running forward. In those Call of Duty games, there were barriers. Like you get to point A, and then once everybody gets to point A, then you move on to point B, then to C. But from point A to point B, the AI companions were awesome. I think Halo has some of the best AI when it comes
Yep.
to enemies. The grunts act like grunts. They have a specific pattern. Jackals act like they're snipers. They hang back. Brutes are the leaders, and when the brutes die, they kind of the rest of the grunts scatter and they get scared. The elites are amazing. You can have like one-on-one fights with elites because they have shields, and then when their shields go down, they hide behind rocks, just like as if you're playing a multiplayer match with real people. And then your companion AIs are kind of dumb, but they could, like, even the original Halo, you can jump in the passenger seat of a Warhog, and those guys will drive to the objective.
I agree.
Cool.
Yep. Metro has really good
Metro's
AI.
fantastic. The new game, Stalker, the AI on harder difficulties are pretty fun to shoot at. What I always say, the greatest AI in video game history, enemy AI, is Fear. The game Fear. Fucking play that game. If people don't know, but the AI in that game is so good. They will throw grenades if you throw it at them. They will flank. They will run away. If there's only one left, they will move on to the next segment where you're going to fight a rush of bad guys, and they'll have one extra guy. They will talk. They tell you what's going to happen. They'll flank. They'll do covering fire, and it happens really, really fast, and it's really cool. It's very realistic, even though it's a horror
and
ghost
it's
game.
pretty old.
And it's really old. That same AI model is used in Killzone 2, and Killzone 2 is not nearly as good, but it has the same type of feeling of enemy AI where, like, they will hit cover, one guy will flank, they talk to you, they talk to each other, and then they'll retreat.
I have one that is a good example. I do have one more part that extends onto this gripe is I think the Division did it bad, and a lot of games do it poorly. Making your AI on a harder difficulty setting become more of just a bullet sponge and output higher damage. I want to make the AI at a harder difficulty make me think more.
It's definitely achievable too. I feel like they're doing it the laziest way possible. Because you're adding a lot of ifs or ands into the programming.
Increase where they're gonna go. Like make it so these AI go different areas. They're not always gonna be in the same spots. Things like that, maybe. I don't know.
That's the one thing. Sorry to Grant, I saw you're about to queue up there, but that's the one thing about, like, I'm just gonna use Tarkov for example. Like, the AI in that game can be good. They do move around realistically now. They have, they'll run, get behind cover, and then slow peek out, stuff like that.
They threw a grenade at me when I was on a mounted machine gun.
There you go. But the thing with there is the bosses have a lot higher health pool, but you can still kill them with one shot to the face. Most of them. Yeah. So
I think, imagine if Halo, the from normal to heroic to legendary, it just had more enemy health. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, especially fighting the big guys.
I think also people, when it comes to development, I think that there was like a push and pull balance thing when it came to, do we add more AI but lower textures? I don't know. I think they always went for better graphics. I think AI was the last thing that they wanted to do. I think people were happy just firing at little ducks in a row that peek out of cover.
Destiny's a good example.
Changed big time. That's so annoying, especially single player games, dude. If the next Skyrim or the next Elder Scrolls game comes out and it has AI like the stupid Star game where they just run at you, you see them from like 500 yards away and you're shooting at them and they're just running. And they just run right up to your face and stand still and shoot, then that's enough for me. No more Elder Scrolls games.
I would rather have played Skyrim with a new Skyrim with OG graphics, and we all know how dated that game feels, if the AI was just that much better. And I think the fact that actual artificial intelligence is around, I think that AI in game, if they start using the right models, will actually hopefully get to a point where it learns you and it challenges you.
Have you seen the Grand Theft Auto AI mod that some people do?
No.
You just have your mic and you just talk to it, like, hey, where's the burger shot? and it takes a second because it's got to load in.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's around the corner, and they still use the same voice.
Hmm.
And it's really good. It's just it wouldn't be able to be applied now because it's not as quick, but it's promising.
Well, yeah, but then again, you know, if it's just learning, like say there's you know how there's sometimes bosses where at the end of the boss fight you don't kill them and they move on to the next scene. Say there's a boss like that, right? But throughout the game you're chasing him, but also throughout the game he's learning you. He's learning how accurate you are. He's learning, you know, what he could do to counter you. So every time you play through the game, you could play it differently and you're going to get a different response. That's where I want gaming to go with.
That's the
with
main
AI.
goal.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Right.
That's what fear, like, that's why I like fear so much. Even though you go to the same environments, but you're never going to have the same firefight twice in a row.
Yeah.
There's just too many people, too many outcomes that can happen. It just makes it a lot of fun. Yeah, but I really want AI to be better.
That's
imagine
probably
playing a game back and
road.
the experience is different every time.
Every time.
You can just keep playing the same single player game
and imagine you could be a trans with top surgery one time and then, you know.
In a game that has magic.
But listen, how funny would it be that if you did choose that character if the NPCs talk shit to you? Like behind your back as you're walking by, they'd be like, "Did you see that thing?"
It's like Deuce Bigelow when he's walking down the street with the tall chick. That's a huge bitch.
Yeah, shit like that.
Adam Sandler yelling shit.
Add some realism to it. That'd be funny. I'd play the game then. I would be trans too, just to hear what they're all talking about.
Not talking about your example, but yeah, that's just Deuce Bigelow. They free, and then they
just so where they kind of play where the AI plays with what's going on in the game.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
For the next gripe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Grant, you're gonna be ready and excited for this. For me, controller limitations is one. I know you're excited to talk about the PlayStation controller here, but before we get into that, I'm ready to hear about it. Before we get into that, I almost wish I've never had a controller with paddles. I wish that
you mean like paddles?
Yeah, I think if they just sold a controller for like 80 to $100 and made it the base model, I wouldn't mind having a base model controller with paddles because I feel limited, and I'm not gonna. I don't want to buy a more expensive controller, but when I play Halo, yes, I want to jump with that back paddle and swivel in the air without having to hit A to jump and move.
So,
and I don't want to adjust the way I've been playing Halo by changing my controls. I don't want to play claw.
No,
I don't want to change how I use a controller.
This is a scuff, and this was my primary Siege controller. Because the main reason was the sticks are replaceable, like instantly replaceable, so you can get fresh, grippy sticks, and you can beat them up and replace the sticks, like just throw them away and get new ones. But the paddles were a game changer, and I used them for lean.
Yeah.
Well, no. I used this one for lean and this one for crouch because I didn't want my aiming finger to have to compress to lean while I'm trying to aim. So I made it so where my aim finger was only aiming, and then I moved the lean to the other. And you know, it's just a regular controller outside of being able to program that.
Well, that's Halo. For Halo, it's perfect because you can have one of these buttons back here. I don't know if you can see it. Oh,
that's just an add-on.
Yeah, this is an add-on. I don't know what this is called, but it's good. I only use it for certain buttons. I think there's like rapid fire and stuff, all shit and all this shit.
Cheater! Somebody fucking go to this guy's house.
You won't be able to get away with it. Like rapid fire is stupid. Maybe on Call of Duty 4 you can get away with it, but bumper jumper, having bumper jumper on your Halo settings with being able to jump, slide, crouch, without moving your right thumb off the joystick. That's how you have to do it. That's why the claw is popular. It's so you can jump and not have to move your right thumb.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, the key to winning in Halo is if you gotta jump, you can jump and shoot right down at the head. And if you can't do that with a normal controller, you get limited at a certain point because people's movement becomes good enough that if you're not playing with your controller settings the way they should be, I almost feel like I play standard.
Yeah.
I'm limited to a certain extent. Like there's a point where I just can't. I can't get over into
I'm too old
diamond.
school. My hands
I can't get into onyx.
has to be the normal position.
Well,
maybe I'm just
in Infinite, there
trash.
is if you jump too much in Infinite, you're doing it wrong. It's kind of like in Valorant. If you're ducking too much in Valorant, you're doing it too wrong. At the highest level, no one's jumping. It's because you're crouching and sliding too much. Jumping, you just can't move laterally. They kind of fixed that in Halo 5 when they had the lateral like shift in the air, but they don't do that anymore. So I recommend not jumping in Halo Infinite as much as you possibly can.
Right. Yeah, no. I don't jump shoot, but for me to if someone gets the drop on me or I'm vertically having to change and turn, that's where it gets to be a problem.
You also need to be able to jump over grenades because grenades will huge, right? So you have to be able to jump. You lower your damage and it'll boost you up a little bit too. And yeah, you need to be able to not move this joystick.
So
I use
PlayStation
these for
also. Go ahead.
PlayStation controls.
Sorry.
Those are the worst fucking controllers in the history of video games.
Which ones?
And
the
I don't
ones
know why people...
or PlayStation in general? I haven't played on a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I think the PS3 controller is fantastic, dude. I'm about to pull them. I'm gonna grab it real quick.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. This is a PS4 controller. It's dirty, but I love this thing. It has a little bit of grip on the back. It costs way too much, but it has like these adjustable triggers too, where if you're doing like a shooting game, you flip this little switch down here, and it's a quick pull, and like that will set it
like
off.
Like a mouse almost.
Yeah, it activates it.
Shorter distance.
Yeah, there's a shorter pull. It just activates it sooner. Or if you're playing a race game, you have it the typical distance. But yeah, I don't know. I like Xbox controllers. I've played. I think the worst controller of all time is either the N64 or Dreamcast.
Oh, N64. Both were shit.
Yeah, Dreamcast was just. It was just before like ergonomics were very important in gaming. It was more about like how cool does your controller work.
I wonder if there's a way to play Mario 64 with a normal controller.
Probably. Why not?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you can. You guys need to get into some more emulation. You can play Mario 64 with a controller.
I have no desire to step back.
I have no idea where my PS3 controller is.
Here,
but
this
I wanted
is
to talk.
PS3, PS4 are the same.
No, they're not. PS3 is way lighter and it doesn't have the touchpad.
Well, I'm talking about the layout, though.
The joysticks themselves, the actual joysticks, the rubber on the joysticks are the best ever made.
On which one?
I don't know why Odin must have took it.
You should try the scuff. The rubber on these is so fucking grippy.
Yeah, but no,
these are worn down because Najoni's been playing on this controller, and she is.
I
never met somebody so hard on a controller as this girl. I swear to God, you could give her a brand new controller and she'll wear it down to the plastic in a week.
So the reason why I hate the PS5 controllers, you see these stupid things? They're tapered off, right? My fingers don't really fit, so I can only do I'm only like a halfway on it, and it slips off all the time.
Yeah,
hate that. This thing's about 5 pounds. It feels like. If you drop on a hardwood floor, it's broken. Done. This stupid thing should be illegal.
Yeah.
It's a freaking microphone that's always on. And now with news of Valorant's terms of service, where if you say something offensive while there's a anything Valorant in the background, you don't have to be playing the game. You could have a Valorant poster, possibly. I don't know. They don't really make it clear, but if you're playing another Riot-based game,
if you as an individual are offensive, you can't play my games. Well,
they will ban you from the game. That is a trend that's happening, and there is a microphone here that's constantly recording. You have to turn it off. It also makes it incredibly annoying if you're playing online, and you have people that have no idea that their mic's on, and you can hear this. And why is the microphone is next to the joystick? You can hear a clack constantly. It's the stupidest design I've ever seen in my entire life. Hate this controller.
Never used it. What about the ergonomics outside of the buttons, like just holding it?
I like it that it's wide at the base and it's fine for my big hands. Yeah. But there's a rumble feature in here that people like a lot. I don't. If you play Gran Turismo 7 in it, it feels really good, but then you turn it off immediately because it has some sort of resistance to the brake and stuff like that, which I think is a cool design.
Oh,
But
it has the haptic vibration.
yeah, it's all haptic. Yeah. The rumble is all around. You do feel it. I mean, it's gimmicky, but sometimes it works. 99% it doesn't. And I would rather it be lighter.
Who the fuck uses this? Name a single person that uses, except for like pull up a map in a game. Like,
yeah,
it's
well,
the least
touchpad,
used shit ever. It was so bad too.
it's just in a bad spot. I think you could do touchpads fine in games.
Well, they had
I
them
think
on the PS Vita. It was on the back, was a touchpad.
yeah, it's up to the gamers, but yeah, the game developers. But yeah, when you do like different motions with your finger, and it can do that. The Valve controller that I love has that. So, but I don't like the touchpad. It's just another big button.
Yeah, I think.
I'd rather have two buttons in the back.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going with controllers anyway, because I mean, clearly, for some games, controller is superior when it comes to just casual, comfortable. I want to play on a controller if I'm going to be playing a single player game where there's no skill involved, and it's just I can just like, because I was playing Kingdom Come. No, not Kingdom Come. I'm sorry. A little bit more, bro. No, it's good actually. You're good. What's the?
I like the Halo.
The Yakuza game, but it's not Yakuza. Anyway, I was playing that, and when I was sitting at my desk, I'd play on my mouse and keyboard. But when I put it up on my TV and laid in bed, I was playing it on a controller, and it was like just so much more relaxing. I didn't feel like I had to sweat every shot where I'm just trying to be extremely accurate. I was just more just cruising through the game, having fun. But when it comes to like competitive play, I think if you're playing, there's my mouse. If you're playing on a controller, you're getting a help from the engine at some point, and you're not actually that good.
Yeah, you are. I like playing Halo with a mouse and keyboard. That's my.
I do too.
Even though people would disagree with that,
Some
like
plays on mouse
Halo
and keyboard.
When it comes to controller players versus mouse and keyboard, they give the mouse and keyboard enough advantages and disadvantages to compete with the controller advantages and disadvantages. It's even, and it works out perfectly. In the pro scene, there's like one or two mouse users, and the rest are controllers. So it's possible to be the best in the world.
Summit says he's the best in the world on mouse and keyboard on Halo.
He's not even close.
I know he's not, but that's what he says.
I know a guy that plays hybrid, but he's not very good. He plays
like
half controller, half.
You aim with the mouse and you move with the. So I used to play with. I don't have one here. It's in my closet, but Logitech makes them. I'm sure Corsair makes them now, and Razer makes them. It's like the quarter keyboard, but it has like a directional pad on there. And when I used to game, when I was like addicted to controller, because I wanted the movement on my thumb. Not on three fingers. I wanted movement on one finger, not on three fingers, because your WASD is all three. So I used to program forward, backwards, strafe left, strafe right to the little D-pad that was on like the thumb spot. Then eventually I kind of just stopped using it because it was just another peripheral I didn't want to have. But what are you looking at?
I like. I'm looking at my hot wife. Here.
Hi.
I don't know. I don't know. I like mouse and keyboard. I just prefer it in any moment.
Except for racing games.
Yeah, except for racing games, of course. But then again, I prefer when you have a sim wheel and then you go back to controller, which is fine. I can have fun. But either. I'm always thinking, I wish I could just use a wheel. Like, it would probably be better. Although, like a game like Wipeout, one of my favorite racing games, you don't use a racing wheel.
No, some games it doesn't make sense. Even in like Wreckfest, like it would be fun, but it's so arcadey that the steering is just out. To do it on a steering wheel is like too much.
Yeah, you have to be cranking that hard and fast.
Cranking them 90s, bruh. 360 no scoping.
Are we ready for the next gripe?
Yeah, if we got time.
Sure. Fighting games. Are we? Fighting games. Changing the button layout and the combo layout every new game they make, or changing the game too much. I think UFC really has gone through spurts where they've made good games. I've heard UFC 5 is good, but
Very good.
the jump between 2 and 3 was huge. It was a very drastically
The jump
different
between
thing.
4 and 5 was pretty big too. And 3. I mean, there's a pretty. I don't know. I like it and I don't like it, but it takes you just got to get used to it. Got to get good. And from 4 to 5, they changed the uppercuts. It used to be you hit 2 buttons, the X and A button to do like a left uppercut, and then Y and B to do a right uppercut. Now you have to hold the right bumper to do it, or R1. And I'm used to it now, but I totally understand. Like there was from 3 to 4, if you held the jab longer, it was a harder and slower jab, and I think people never realize that. So when you were playing online, you could see that people were throwing slow combos and slow jabs and straights, and you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know that if you tap it faster, it's a faster jab.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's a big gripe that people had in that game at least. I don't know, but when it comes to fighting, I think the controls don't change enough.
Really? So I guess what I put was like, I was looking into this one too a little bit, but let's say you have a combo to throw Scorpion Spear, and it's left, right, square, or left, right, whatever. But then they change it to forward, forward, or back, back. In between games, that is a little annoying for me. But the other thing that's annoying is the way you chain combos in games. So Mortal Kombat had a big one where you chain combos one way, and then the next game came out, and the way you would hold the D-pad when you were doing your combos changed. Like, you could hold 2 buttons down and left at the same time, and then there was a game where you had to enter down then left. You couldn't roll it. I don't know how to explain that.
I don't play fighting games.
That the Mortal Kombat that is like that's coming from arcade roots where where instead of doing the Street Fighter half circle, quarter circles, it was more like down forward and back forward as opposed to a slide. I don't know. I don't know. I'm okay with the changes. I like changes in fighting games.
There's the positive argument for it is that they're trying to make the movesets more intuitive because they were never intuitively made the first time.
It's kind of like Tony. I mean, I know they're not the same game, but it's the same genre. Like Tony Hawk to skate. Like Tony Hawk was button press to do all the tricks, but as we kind of evolved and used analog sticks more in every game, then the sticks became how you did the tricks. So I think it's adapting. I know that most of these, like the controllers really haven't changed from like, we'll say PS3 to now when it comes to like the use of analog sticks, but I think they're trying, and it's just kind of natural in gaming, at least it has been, to like try and evolve the way you control your character, like what steps it takes to accomplish something. They're always trying to make it more intuitive, I guess, at the same time making it more confusing because there's only so much, that really, I mean, there's some games that people might say have like the perfect button layout. And then if another game copies it, they're like, oh, you just copied them, instead of being like, well, they had it perfect, so why would we not want it to be perfect?
you gotta have the standard eventually.
Yeah.
Like having A jump and Y swap weapons in first person shooters. It's like pretty much crucial.
I'm talking Xbox control or PlayStation here, but I like circle as a jump.
Yeah. Ooh. Change it then.
Yeah, well, I think every game you should be able to bind your own keys for most games. But then games like fighting games, it gets complicated because the game wants to see a certain input, and if you're changing those inputs, how does it?
That reminded me of the worst game that released this year was the Star Wars remaster of the Battlefront 1 and 2 remaster.
Yeah, you were talking about how much you love the original one.
I do love the original ones. They on console, they didn't have an invert Y access, and I was like, how could you possibly do that? How can you make a shooter in 2024 without an option to invert your Y axis?
That sounds like something that a gamer or somebody who made that game's never played video games before. Because anybody knows that invert, yes, it's probably a little more rare that people use it, but everybody knows somebody who plays invert. I play invert, you play invert.
Yeah,
you probably play normal.
It's basically saying It's a left-hand, right-hand thing. It's like saying, here's a game, but if you're left-handed, you can't play.
Sorry,
Like, what?
retard. I'm left-handed, by the way.
It's really that was the most egregious thing. I don't think it was people developing it that didn't play video games.
It has to be. How do you go into a menu or make a menu and not be like, I mean,
well, no,
because it didn't have it in the original.
No, it did. It did. I have the original. I still play it, but it's because it was made probably in about 8 hours. They probably used AI to render the upscaling of the
textures and stuff.
The textures and stuff, and the resolution, and that was it. And they were like, let's just half-ass something and put it together. I guarantee that game was made in less than a week. It seems like.
I said this the first time that you and I were talking, but the first time we had this conversation, but EA, if they literally just hired you, me, and PBR, would be vastly more successful in every single game. 100%. I can guarantee you that the games will be received way better than they are now, and a lot of dumb features will get cut, and people won't have to waste their time on them. Let's make a fucking video game at the end of the day.
I guarantee if you bring me on as a consultant, I will have the finger on the pulse.
No, I'm the CEO. I want to be the CEO.
To play more than you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because it's like
I'm close.
Yeah, it's a bunch of. I don't even want to. I can't say what I want to call them, but it's a bunch of people who don't know shit about what made gaming that are in control now, and they're hiring people who don't know what made gaming because, like, I went to Full Sail. I think we talked about this the first time we tried to do this, but I went to Full Sail for I think a little over a single semester before I realized that they only want specific types of people. This university, college, whatever it is, they're not looking for creative people. They're looking for people they can meld into the scene that have gaming knowledge and have played video games but don't have they need to be told what video gaming is, not that they can't have their own definition of it or what makes a game a great game and what makes it a bad. They just want people who will fall in line, not argue with the people overseeing the development, and will suck their balls dry, and I'm not a ball sucker.
Do you remember when the original Kingdom Come came out? It was like being developed probably within 6 or 4 months before it was released. There was a bunch of hit pieces on journalists, of course, going after the creator because of what he said. He said something when he was talking about Bohemia as like middle-aged Bohemia had, this is what it looked like, and he fought back with basic trap questions, and then everybody like started ragging on him. It's like there's an actual term for it in the political world. I heard it first from Nancy Pelosi, who was my district representative in San Francisco. It's like a smear campaign. You basically, if you don't like something and you're somebody who's competing with them, like let's say in Kingdom Comes, it was, I don't know, like maybe like Elder Scrolls or something. I don't know, another open world game. You put out a fake story about them, and you have a journalist just write it, and then it's shopped around, meaning you start to write about the writer who wrote about it, and then you start to write about the response to the writer who wrote about it, and then you basically shop that around, and you can create some sort of anti-buzz for the game that's coming out. It's used in movies. They do this all the time. It's used in politics all the time, but it's also used in basic marketing. Well, that happened with Kingdom Come, and at that moment, gamers especially, because it was after Gamergate.
Unite. Sorry. Earphone warning.
They really hated that. So, and I was one of them. I was like, "What's this Kingdom Come game?" I don't know who develops it. I can't remember. White Horse.
White Horse. Yeah.
I was like, pre-order now. I was like, "Fuck you for writing that," because it was obviously fake, and then the story just went on for weeks. And I was like, they're never going to apologize. And I don't think they ever did. And what it did was there was way more gamers like me who were fed up with it, who just bought it. They just pre-ordered. It became the most pre-ordered game when it came out. Thankfully, it was really good. And now look at the sequel. It's the most anticipated game of the year next year. One of them, top 5. And it's going to sell crazy because they're good developers. And they only got popular because some a-hole journalist wanted to just write a fake story about them.
You should be I wonder if you could get sued for libel for that kind of thing. Libel is written defamation versus slander being spoken defamation.
Spoken, yeah, but it wasn't quite libel because it was it depends on who it was. It was like an anonymous person, and then you write about what this anonymous person witnessed. And then when he came, I forgot the guy's name, but when he came out, he said something that was like, F you, like, I don't give a shit about what you think, type of thing. And they're like, oh, well, it's on.
It's hearsay bullshit that they get away with pretty much.
One of my favorite games of all time, by the way. Top 5 for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely my favorite modern open world game. Yeah. That's when I think of open world fantasy game. I mean, that's
not really
my
fantasy.
Game. It's not fantasy. I know what you're talking about. It's realistic.
There's no dragons, brev.
There's no dragons in it, but it is like Skyrim, but if it was realistic. And I love the swordplay. It's just the best first person.
Yeah, I did a
like handcuff combat.
What's it called? What's the little the fight, like the main fight that they have every week? I forget what it's called. Anyway, I did it again because my character's not very. He's a high level thief, but you know, I've killed a lot of people. But yeah, I've killed a lot of people, but my stealth is up. I think I killed over 600 civilians.
I like that in the original town, the first town you start in. My character, I would kill everybody in their house, and the houses would be empty. It was cool.
Yeah, one time I I didn't kill a guard. I knocked him out when he was in his sleep, and I took all of his clothing from his chest and off his body, and the next day he was walking around town in his undies. Patrolling still. That was hilarious. I was like, oh my god, that's the guy. So stuff like that make that game awesome.
I know. Then that game is also like it's got great humor. There's not a lot of humorous video games, and Kingdom Come has like some of the best humor.
It's an entertaining game for sure. Oh, the Rattay Tourney. That's what it is. You gonna join the Rattay Tourney? You want to have a little wager on the Rattay Tourney?
I love Henry's friend. I always forget his name.
Which one?
The asshole that you go hunting with him when you first meet him.
Oh, that's Sir Hanish.
Yeah, Hanish. I love that guy.
He's a dick, but he's not too bad. He's royalty.
Yeah, he's the royalty guy. I just love that guy. I love that character. Like, there's no other character in video games.
When I play that game, when I'm like walking around, just like, and an NPC will talk to you for a split second, like just say something as you're walking by, or I always want to be like, "God be with you and with you."
That's another thing that I don't even realize, but that's a very hardcore Christian centric story. And
oh yeah, you go to church, you have to learn like certain like what's the language? Latin? Is it Latin?
Yeah, I think
there's
so.
like
I don't know.
portions of it where you have to memorize a Latin like paragraph, and then when the guys at the church reciting it, you have to like verify the right ones, and I get it wrong every time because I didn't pay attention. But like,
yeah, I think that girl makes the girlfriend. I think she makes fun of you in the beginning when you don't know it.
I can read now.
So there's not a lot of games that are like that. I mean, the only one I could think of is Castlevania, really. But there's not a lot. There's not a lot of religious themed video games.
No.
Yeah, what's the
downstairs?
Curse Crusade might be one. I'm trying to think if there's any others.
I can't think of it. You can call Warhammer religious, but it's like 40,000 years in the future, and in the religion is like of crazy cyber.
There's a religion in Deus Ex too. There's like a whole church and stuff underground.
Yeah, that's like a really good side story too.
Yeah, it is. I actually ruined that side story one time because I snuck in and killed the guy, and then I was like, wait, I thought this was a storyline, and I didn't realize that killing that guy was going to manipulate the whole thing. But
yeah, do you guys hear that or not?
What? Did you fart?
No.
Snowblower or something outside.
Oh.
Do you see my son?
What's up,
hiding?
Odin? Nice.
Oh yeah. There was another gripe in there that was like, speaking of thieves, when you guys were talking about thieving, Fallout, when you have to pick locks, they're like, it's cool for the first 20, but after you're 100 hours into the game, doing it every single time gets to be a pain in the ass.
I mean, it's just like Kingdom Come. There's a lot of lock picking, but the better you get, the easier it becomes, and it's probably a little bit more of an intuitive system. A lot of people hated it, but I love it.
Yeah, I loved it too. A lot of people hate the combat. I love the combat. Like, I love everything about that game.
Yeah.
The fast travel is too slow, but other than that,
yeah, that's because it's not really sped up. It's fast. It's probably about 25% faster, and you can't like go take a piss while you're fast traveling because you might get into a fight on the way. So you're like, well,
yeah.
I have to sit here. I think my favorite thing is sitting in prison for 10 days so I can go piss. But yeah, sorry, we went back to Kingdom Come and you were talking about lockpicking and
No, you're good.
I can't
There's
hear
a guy
whatever.
outside snow blowing.
Yeah,
so
I can't hear anything. But if
I can't hear anything.
If we want to wrap here, we can. It's been an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'll let you.
Sure.
This is I'm not gonna edit anything. This is a. Why would I? That's what we do. Got you for, friend.
It's 100% gold the whole time, right?
Yeah, it's always gold. I'll let you kind of. I think we need to continue this on another time for sure, because the three of us could probably go on forever.
I like gaming gripes. That's a good segment you got.
Yeah,
yeah, it was fun.
It lasted a lot longer than I thought too, because we were talking regular shit for about 40 minutes. So
we could get into specific games, and yeah, it would go forever.
Yeah, maybe we'll start a little group chat or something and text message and kind of spitball ideas.
All right.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, what? What were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
How's the Discord going?
We don't have one. No, we don't have one.
We don't have a Discord.
That's one thing we need to get.
The LARF Lounge.
I'll just change LARF Lounge over. The only thing is we're trying to kind of start like I haven't even shared any of these to friends. You're the only person that really knows that we're even doing this. Yeah. We're just trying to do it organically and just not really. I'm not pandering to anybody. Like, hey, come check out my podcast, bro.
I don't know. You're doing a good job. Flood the zone.
We're just trying to do multiple videos. So.
It's hard to share like professionally. You know, I have to be very careful. I could share it to all sorts of my friends, but it's not a matter of them seeing it. It's a matter of it somehow showing up to other people that might see it that know me. Not even today.
At that point, you'll be too successful to care.
Right. That's the hope, right?
And we sell out to BlackRock and they buy us and then I quit.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate? Just if we sell out to BlackRock.
Yeah,
if we make it big enough and get the decision.
I'd leave you forever. I'd be like, find a new co-host, bitch.
Well,
all right.
You would have. Yeah.
Yeah. We could do this for fucking 5 hours. Go ahead, PBR.
Yeah. Duce is going to have to work a little editing magic at the end here.
No,
but anyways.
It's raw.
Thank you guys for checking out the Active Reload podcast. We're Duce on my left. We got Grant
Active
here
Reload.
Active Reload podcast. Check it out. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. You can go anywhere and check that out. It's a great gaming podcast.
It's on Rumble too.
Very knowledgeable guy, and it's on Rumble.
Okay. This guy's looking forward to the future. Doc's on Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I haven't watched him yet, though I have a Rumble account.
Yeah, get that money, man.
Yeah. Anyways, like, subscribe. We'll be at you with some more soon. Every couple days we'll be posting new episodes. Thanks, guys.
Yay. Bye.